Welcome, welcome, beautiful soul. It is wonderful to connect with you again on Thursday. Thursday for the rest of the year is basically our time to get together and talk about your reinvention, reinventing yourself, leveling up, tuning into your soul, and becoming the best version of you possible. If this is your first time joining me, I am Dr. Andrea Pennington. And today I am joined by my illustrious co-host, and that is Delia Sanchez, who is in the UK. Hi, Delia.
Hey, Dr. Andrea, it's so good to be here again. And I'm getting used to this, every Thursday we tap into reinvention. Wow, I can't wait to share everything I have and we have prepared, right?
Yes, and there is a method to all of this getting together live, mainly because what Delia and I have been talking about, like privately and professionally, is that there are a lot of people who have been knocked on their butts in 2020. And Delia, you said something that really stuck with me. You said that you noticed that some people are just like waiting for the end of the year, like it's dragging them across the finish line, right?
Exactly. So this is just from hearing from friends and actually colleagues as well. Like, oh, isn't 2020 finished yet? You know that feeling? So come on, we have 3 months still, so we can do so much.
Yeah. And that's really what we are committed to helping you do, to really own the fact that we can take control over certain aspects. I know there's many things out of our control, but the one thing that we can do, that all of us can do, is to choose. We can choose how we want to respond to the craziness of this year. And and by choosing, we take back our power, right? We take back the ability to make plans, to make new goals. Even if we can't travel like we might want to, there are still other goals that are attainable for us. So I want to thank those of you who are already tuning in. Welcome. Frank is tuned in, Dr. Raj, and our beautiful friend Ninette, one of our luminaries. Thank you for being here. And Fernando as well. Buenos dias. Thank you for tuning
Hola.
in. You know, last week, Delia and I were talking about the same concept of conscious reinvention, but we were addressing imposter syndrome. It's that feeling like, yes, I want to go after this new thing, but who am I to dream so big? Who am I to try to step into this new role? And so if you miss that, definitely tune into that, because both Delia and I shared some stories of how we overcame imposter syndrome. And I know that was really helpful for a lot of people. Right, Delia?
Yes, and something that we really need to bring up right from the start as well is that don't get into the victim mode, right? So it's so easy just to blame the virus, the problems around. Hey, but let's face this. It's our responsibility. We can change our realities. Everything is on us. So let's be responsible for this. So we forget about this victim mode and let's tap into the universal law of action. Let's make it happen.
Amen. Well, one of the things that that we talked about was mindset. So the last two times that we were on, we were talking about that mindset, totally getting out of victim mode. And I'm glad that you bring up this law of action, because I really, what we're talking about today, everyone, just so that you're tuned in, today's message is all about how to overcome inertia. Some of us, I'm admitting to it, we've gotten kind of safe and not safe. We've gotten kind of stationary. this lockdown has caused many people, obviously, to do the right thing, to not be out and socializing and moving around. But I think as the months have gone on, I've been hearing from other people, and I saw in myself this sort of complacency, getting into a comfort zone, staying on the couch, not necessarily doing the same exercise routines. And so today we're going to be talking about how do you overcome that inertia from sitting still for too long? How do you increase the energy of your body? And we are going to be talking about physics. Yay!
Yay.
All the nerds, come on, unite with us. Because there are these laws of physics, if we're talking about, momentum and versus potential energy. So if you've been just stuck at home, you have what we call in physics potential energy. Like you have this potential to be propelled forward, but you have to overcome inertia. Inertia means you're sitting still. And so, Delia, you and I have been kind of going back and forth on laws of physics, the laws of the universe. And one of the things that you talked about was the law of correspondence, and how what we experience internally is what we will see on the outside. We know that from mindset, but I want to talk today about energy, because for us to kind of say, all right, we have 3 months left, I want to like start working on going towards a dream or a goal, we have to tune into the body, because this precious vessel, this gift of life that we have, we've got to nurture the body, and we've got to start putting it into action. So, talk to me first, if you will, about the law of correspondence.
Yes. So it's actually what you just said. So the law of course, the universal law of correspondence tells us that our outer world is nothing more than a reflection of our inner world. So today we're talking about energy and body and how this physical form will support your changes, the changes you're planning, or your reinvention, or whatever you're planning to do. So I really like to invite you right from the start to take a look at your physical body. And let's bring here the law of correspondence, because your body is telling what is happening inside you. So, what is your physical body telling you? Are you being ill very easily, getting some colds, hurting somewhere? Each just suddenly you have some pain somewhere. So take a look at that, because that is what your body is starting to tell you that is not working inside. And I can share with you one story of mine if you like.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is about this. So this was 2017, October 2017. And this is a question. Have you ever asked for people not to look at you?
Mm.
In October of 2017, I was asking people not to look at me. And actually, I was walking around with my mouth, my hands in my mouth, just like this. And was not a virus, was nothing. I've developed an eczema around my mouth.
Mm.
So my mouth was actually like a double mouth.
Oh,
Yeah, like that clown makeup that, oh,
yeah. It's like
yeah.
when sometimes when little kids keep licking their lips and then it gets all chapped. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. So I was walking like this, and I was literally asking people, friends, including my partner, not to look at me. Imagine. So imagine where was my self-esteem back then. So I was desperate, absolutely desperate, because it was in a place where I couldn't hide. Literally, I couldn't, yeah, so I couldn't hide. And I had a few consultations with doctors, and every single one of them had their own idea of what was going on. I had a few different prescriptions from all of them. Uh, so, and back then, what was happening was as well that I was totally on a victim mode.
Mm.
Why is that me? Why is this happening with me? Why? In November of the same year, started an energy healing journey. And this was actually something that suddenly. I was not planning. I was literally was drawn into it.
Wait,
So,
say that again, Delia.
so
Kind of broke up. You said you weren't planning.
okay,
What?
yeah. So I was not planning to do the course. I was literally dragged into it, invited by a friend.
Okay.
So right away, I started this course, and what happened was that my focus shift to the course.
Mm.
So I was learning about learning about myself, around energy, around self healing, and was everything so interesting that my focus from being all around here in my mouth and this eczema that I was having, I focus on learning because I've loved it.
Mm.
What I was hearing and was a totally different point of view. So after a few months, what happened is the eczema didn't go away. I will be honest, didn't go away so fast. But I've realized that, hey, all my issues were literally stamped here on my face.
Mm.
Right? So I couldn't hide. It was like the universe was telling me, Delia, you have to face whatever is going around you. Stop putting things under the carpet. Wait, look at it, resolve your issues,
Yeah.
and move on. So after 6 months, the eczema disappeared.
6 months.
Literally 6 months. This disappeared. And from here, what I really want to for you to take away from this, whoever is listening there, and the message is that, like, it doesn't matter what you want to change outside of you, because if you haven't done the work inside, nothing will change. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm sure you have some similar situations, Dr. Andrea.
Well, mine is a little bit different. But first, I just want to acknowledge, like, did you, without sharing your personal business, but do you feel like it was doing the energy work? It wasn't just that you were distracted by taking a course, it was that you were addressing your own internal fears and doubts and all of that, that everything on your face cleared up.
Yes, and I was doing this regularly. Let's say this as well. It was on a daily basis, every day, facing my own things. So it and was very clear that my physical body was talking to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is why I said that. So what is happening with anyone that is listening? What is your physical body
Yeah.
telling you today?
I totally believe that our body is literally a mirror of the subconscious. And I think the first time that I recognized that, as you know, besides being a doctor, I trained in Chinese medicine and acupuncture. And I remember so clearly this shift that happened. I was sitting in my wellness center, and this woman across from me was telling me about stress. She came to the practice to deal with burnout, and I just asked her to tell me what brought her there today. And as she was telling me about the current situation, she was working in IT, and it was at that time a very male dominated field, and it was a very aggressive energy, she told me. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, what led you to go into IT? Because I didn't know very many women, this is 15 years ago, I didn't know very many women in IT. And so she was like, oh, it wasn't my choice. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And then she explained that she was the first person in her family to go to college. And when she was a senior in high school, she went to the guidance counselor, like so many people did, and said, okay, I want to go to university. Like, how do I do the applications? And what do you think I should study? And her family didn't have any background because they had never been to university. And the guidance counselor told her, oh, right now, IT is the hot thing. Information technology, that's the hot thing. So she was like, okay, because she did well in math and science, and she thought, I guess that makes sense. So as she was telling me this, I said, so if you didn't listen to the guidance counselor, what would you have done? And as she started to tell me, her whole body changed. She went from being hunched over, she told me that about all the intestinal, her stomach issues. She had this spastic bladder. She had all these problems, right? But as she started to talk to me about how in high school she was at a performing arts school and she was doing all of these things, her whole body changed and her face lit up. And I remember going, okay, I can see the difference. At work, she's internalizing this stress and it's being, focused in her gastrointestinal tract. And I was like, here's your prescription. Go home and do something creative. And I remember feeling like, is she going to think I'm a weirdo? And I was like, but we did other things. Like I gave her an acupuncture treatment to treat the stress, to calm the energy. And then I sent her home with this assignment and I said, come back next week. She came back next week and her whole body was different. Like she wasn't hunched over, she wasn't in pain. And it was like the understanding that we internalize so much that our body can be a mirror. So I love what you're saying, Delia. If there's something going on, and everyone's body is different, right? In Chinese medicine, we each have kind of a particular mix of which of the energies influence us more. So if you're an earth
Mm-hmm.
energy person, it might be around the tummy, your gastrointestinal tract. If you're a wood person, the thing that might become a problem for you could be anger or outbursts, or it could be in your muscles, like it was with me when I was that
Mm-hmm.
type A, heading towards burnout. So each of us has a different energy type. And if you haven't already done it, Delia and I recommend that you take the vitality
Yes.
test, right? Because it gives you
Yes.
information about your energy influences. So that was kind of the realization I had as a young physician. I was fresh out of my training, and it made me really think about asking people so much more than your typical doctor. What we were trained in
Yeah.
medical school. The Chinese system is so much different, and this idea about looking at your body as a mirror of what's going on, and being willing to sit with those feelings, whether
Yes.
that's in meditation or in journaling or doing some body work.
Mm-hmm.
It's about really tuning in. So if you visit my website, andreapennington.com, you can take download some free guided meditations that will help you get in touch with the energy. Um, I see that Donna's asking, what is the name of the test? It's called the Vitality Test. So if you go to thevitalitytest.com, It's created by Nick Haynes of the Five Institute. Nick is a brilliant, brilliant man in the UK who
Mhm.
created this online questionnaire totally for free. He's done over 50,000 patient interviews and consultations over the 35 years that he worked as an
Mhm.
acupuncturist. So
Yes.
that's that. But I think on the personal side, Delia, you have been hearing about what I've been going through in terms of my body energy. And part of it, as some of you have heard, my mother was hospitalized and is in her last days. And as I've been reflecting on her life and her legacy, she is a woman who has just like sucked the juice out of life. So I've been going to dance classes. Um, this week I found a new place and I was doing salsa and bachata. And I've also been running. Did you notice that I didn't say jogging? The joke between me and one of my friends. It's like getting out of your comfort zone, because I think what a lot of us, let me say that, what I noticed in myself with this lockdown, I typically exercise outdoors. And for a period of time when the confinement was really strict, we weren't allowed to go more than 1 kilometer from our house. And my usual workout routine, goes up to the old town and then back down to the sea and home. And so for a couple of months, I was only doing a little bit of exercise, and then I switched to yoga. But I decided to work on this sense of inertia, because I was feeling this heaviness, and it was affecting my mood. Like, and I know that about me. I know that if I don't get my body moving and get the little dopamine hit, then I start to have really bad moods. And so as I have been exercising more, and Delia, you've been hearing about this, I've been, blasting my music in my ears and pushing myself further. And as I've gotten out of my comfort zone and challenged myself, I notice I'm getting stronger. And I was talking to my friend Ray, who was like, now that you're running, you should do the half marathon in Nice. And I was like, yeah, I didn't say I was going that far. And then a week later, he's like, so now you should do the marathon. I'm like, how did it go from a half marathon to the marathon?
Wait a minute, right? Wait
Exactly.
a minute.
But you know what?
Well,
Sometimes you need someone outside to just gently nudge you to
exactly.
maybe raise your game a little.
Exactly. And these are probably the messages from the universe for you, right, Dr. Andrea? So we all have this. We all have this. And it's so good that you brought this up, because when we think about changing things in our life, we need a healthy, strong body. We need that. So that strength, that willingness, you say, like, remove that inertia from you. So that what happened is, energetically you create flow all around your body, and that feels good, right? So it's not an energy stuck in somewhere, which probably at the end will start creating a pain or something, right? So we I guess all of us have enough, or been in one place because of lockdown and things like that, but you have so many opportunities to do exercise at home, and take care of yourself. We're not just talking about exercise, actually, but nurture yourself, especially if if you were where we were, like, when we were reinventing ourselves, stress. We had a little bit of a stress, obviously. So that mechanism of flight, fight, or freeze you're having all the time, that that won't do good to you at all, at all. So we have beautiful doctor in the house.
And we have our pharmacist in the house.
Yes. So I
Pharmacist
yeah.
teaming up.
So actually, we're both talking. I was like, okay, let's remember about this fight, flight, freeze mode and things like that. Actually, it is part of it. If you're thinking about changes, inevitably, you will pass through this. So you can choose. This can be smooth. It can be conscious. You will feel anxious. It's okay. At the end of the day, you're changing,
Yeah.
right? So it's good, but it's conscious.
And that is
It's
exactly what I feel like, what I switched off in my brain is that in doing the running, I realized there's no one else going to push me outside of my comfort zone except me. And as I was doing it, I was the one choosing. And so I'm like, this is a conscious choice. And for so many of us, if you have gotten to a point where you don't feel like you have power, because that is a big, big problem with 2020. People are feeling powerless. They're feeling like their liberties are taken away. They can't travel. They can't do these things. There's uncertainty. And part of the remedy is about reclaiming control where you can. And so by nurturing yourself and looking at the next 3 months as an incubator for your own conscious reinvention, it will work psychologically if you put this to the test.
absolutely, and this is another thing. So if you take care of your mind, consequently, you will feel more like taking care of your body.
Yeah.
So it is another part of the law of correspondence. So you take care of any. eh, Just think about it. Organizing your wardrobe. It's like organizing your life. It's the same thing. So here, if one thing you take care of your mind, like we've been talking about mindset. Okay, I've got the mindset. Great. Now what do I need? I need a healthy, strong body supporting me to move on to the next level,
So
right?
it's I love that. I love it because it's a shift from the body is not a burden. And I love what Dr. Raj said. She said, I feel like the more sensitive we become to our inner self, the more we realize our body is our friend, not the
Okay.
enemy. And Dr. Fernando says it's definitely our responsibility to take action. It's not easy, but listening to your inner self and following what is for you here on earth is the beginning. Then, after is the process that you live toward new projects which are building your true self. Manifestation of our gifts will be based upon our acceptance of change. I totally
Ah,
agree with you,
beautiful.
Fernando. And
Be-
someone else had typed in. I'm going to get to some of your questions because I see that people are asking.
Yes, please.
They're asking some mindset questions. So maybe what we should do is kind of tie a ribbon
Close up.
around the recommendations that Delia and I have for you around the physical. Like, can you choose an activity that will put your body in motion? It doesn't have to be running, it doesn't have to be lifting weights, it could be walking, it could be dancing. I have been so loving the dance. I am now doing programmed dance breaks. I will just, after I've been working at the computer for a while, put in my little earbuds and start dancing. And it's so, so helpful. So, what is one thing that you can do to support your body? And I'm talking about movement, but as Delia mentioned, it's not just about exercise. If you know that you have been a little more eating comfort food over the pandemic, what is one thing that you can make a change with? What can you make a commitment to cutting out whatever naughty little things you've been indulging in and adding in some really healthy, nourishing meals and really looking at it as I am nourishing this body, this beautiful vessel, this gift of life, so that I can start to live my destiny.
Exactly. Beautiful. Beautiful. And another easy things, grounding.
Ah, yes.
b-
Yes.
be outdoors, right?
Can.
Grounding yourself. So take that time just to walk barefoot somewhere, just, to feel. And another thing that I really like is sun gazing,
Ah,
especially, yes, especially at sunrise and sunset. So you are telling your body in the morning, wake up, right? Wake up, it's time, energize yourself. And at the end of the day, that beautiful colors, those colors are telling your eyes, so it's sending the message to your mind that it's time to lower down the energy, it's time to sleep. Those are just so easy things that will help you a lot.
yes, that is an excellent reminder. That is, again, one of the things that I've been doing is I walk to the sea. So after I go through my run up to the old town, I come down, take off my shoes, and put my feet in the sand, my feet in the sea. So if you have that ability to ground in nature, that's hugely beneficial to the body. And I'm glad you brought up the sun gazing thing, because I've been recently looking at some of the studies that, everyone's talking about blue light and being on devices and how it could disrupt your circadian uh, rhythms. And one of, I think it was Dr. Huberman from Stanford Lab, who was talking about as early as possible, when you start to see the sunrise, get some daylight. He didn't talk about sun gazing, not looking directly at the sun. Obviously,
No.
you don't want to burn your retina, but there's a different quality of light, not just visually, that is beautiful, but it's also impacting, as Delia said, it's impacting your brain. Like, you're literally hitting that pineal gland and telling it, okay, this is daytime, this is time to be up, which manages all of your hormones. Our hormones have this sort of uh, diurnal variation. And then seeing it in the evening is also going to trigger, um, as you pointed out, if you can be outside for sunset, or at least to see it, and notice that change in the light, your brain will know that it's time to start getting ready to create melatonin so that you get some deep restorative sleep. Beautiful. Love those. Love those recommendations.
Amazing.
So thank you, Donna.
Okay.
She's doing a 1 month raw detox. Ooh, girl, you need to blog about that.
Ooh.
I want to hear about it. So we did get a question. This is the second question that's come in about this. How to end negative thoughts? Um, how do you take
Mm.
control of your mindset? Now, we did talk about this last week, so I definitely would suggest you tune into last week's broadcast. And we also got a question: how can we avoid doubts and fear? So, shall we jump into this a little
Mm.
bit around the negative
Wow.
thoughts?
Yes.
Because I
Yes,
definitely feel like
absolutely.
um, it's easy. It would be very easy for us to all get back into that victim mentality. Looking at, I was just talking with someone. This COVID situation is unfortunately not going to end anytime soon. Now, I'm not an expert in COVID, but this is September and we're going into winter months. So chances are we're going to be dealing with this for a while. But I think the one thing that we can do, um, to, instead of focusing on the negatives, is to get into a regular practice of gratitude, of looking at what is working in your life, like literally, and it could be the smallest things, like a cup of tea, or a friend who checked on you, or anything that you can tune into and really savor and really allow that gratitude to like sink in. That, if you did that practice, I did an interview with Loretta Brunning, who wrote this book, The Science of Positivity. She recommends that uh, for a few minutes a day, I think it was, I can't remember now if it was 6 times a day, but multiple times a day, to focus on the positive things in your life and what you're actively doing to participate in them. Not just like, oh, that's a cute puppy or what a beautiful rainbow, but the other things that you can generate
Yeah.
um, that good feeling. And she was saying that if you did that for 6 weeks, you can start to create new pathways or reinforce pathways in your brain that will produce those happy chemicals. And you basically have a choice. Like Delia was saying, we have this choice. We can keep going down the victim path and focusing on the negativity, or we can stop
Mhm.
watching and reading all of the negative media. Like, stop,
Yeah.
literally stop. If you need to get a little bit of news once a day, if you happen to be in an area where that's really important, fine. But for most of us, you could go on a media detox, and or at
Oh,
least,
yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. And another thing is focus on the positive outcome that you want.
Yes. So about that future vision, about where you're going.
Yeah, exactly. Just like everything that Andrea said, and just like focus instead of that, because let's say this, our thoughts, we control our thoughts, actually,
Yeah.
right? We can decide if you can consciously decide, okay, around this,
Uh,
right?
if,
So
if
acknowledge that thought.
you kind of cut out there, can you
Cut
repeat
again.
that?
Oh, sorry. Here. Okay. So I repeat here. So if you're having a negative thought, acknowledge that,
Mm-hmm.
but don't interact with that negative thought. So don't make it bigger and don't give momentum to that negative thought. And consciously choose to think about the positive outcome that you're looking to get from whatever you're thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we need. We need to do that focus and that
Just,
vision, which is what we talked about in a couple sessions ago.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
you may have seen the post on Facebook. I don't think our friends on YouTube know this yet, but Delia and I are co hosting a masterclass series. You can take this information deeper. We have exercises, we have some homework for you. It is the Conscious Reinvention Masterclass series, and we're actually partnering with Vivaya. So, Vivaya Live is an online platform for yoga and health practitioners to deliver live classes around the world. And so in October, we are going live on 4 master classes around conscious reinvention. So you've heard us talking about mindset, about getting your mind right. Today we're talking about the body and how do you create this energetic charge to move you forward. Um, the third master class is about the soul. How do you tune into your soul and create a plan for the future? We'll be talking a little bit about that next week in our last Facebook Live and YouTube Live. But you can join us for this masterclass series. I'm going to put the link on the screen in just a minute, and I'll pop
Nice.
the description. But it's going to be great because you'll have more time with us. You'll be able to interact with us and ask questions. And most importantly, we've prepared some exercises for you to start really putting things into practice. Because Delia and I are very big believers that you can do stuff and then report back so that you come
Yes.
back to class like, okay, this is what happened, so that you're not alone. Like, we don't have to be isolated as we go through reinvention. And if you want to work with us even more, starting in November, we have a private course that we're going to be leading together for 12 weeks around conscious reinvention. So,
Yeah.
super excited to be teaming up with you, Delia, for this.
Oh,
This is exactly what the world needs right now.
oh, yeah. So I am delighted. I'm really happy with this. And, I guess both of us, while we were reinventing ourselves, we made a lot of mistakes, right, Dr. Andre?
Yes, I will admit I did. Yes.
Yeah, so me too. Uh, so what we've done is, okay, you don't need this, you need this. So we try to put together things to easing up your way, the journey, so you don't face this challenges and this. So you are supported all the way, right? So and it will be great to have you all in any level of reinvention that you are,
Yeah.
right? Personally, professionally, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A reinvention is a reinvention. A reinvention doesn't need to be, you don't need to think about age or anything. It's when you want, when you feel. And if this is what it is for you today, then you're here and we will be super happy to help you.
Yes, absolutely. So I've popped the link here. It's a bit.ly link. Conscious Reinvention MC stands for Masterclass. But you can also look us up on social media. We'll be sharing that so that you can register. It's totally free, but if you register, then we can share with you the slides and the exercises, and that's the only way you can interact with us if you have questions. And including you can send us questions ahead of time. But we have quite a lot of material. What do you expect, right? But the goal is exactly what Delia said, to support you as you're going through preparing for winter and ending this year on a high note with a vision, with a purpose, with a plan, and putting it into momentum.
Great. And I guess perhaps it's sunset time for some. So go on and enjoy the sunset.
Yes. Well, thank you all for being here. Delia, thank you as always.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful to
Thank you.
connect. And I'm so glad that we are teaming up with the two of us and the team at Vivaya. They are awesome, and I'm super
Yeah,
excited that we'll be able to share this with their community as well.
amazing. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. So
Thank
remember,
you,
my dear,
Andrea.
you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love.
Beautiful.